Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. My name is Laibella Ralston from Faber-Castell, USA, and it's time for another fun class here with Michael Stores. And I'm super happy that you guys are here. While waiting for others, would love to know where everyone is joining us from. I am broadcasting live from Texas, so very hot Texas. So howdy, y'all. How's everyone doing today? Good afternoon, everybody. Would like to thank everyone for being here, joining us in this very relaxing class. So today is all about handwriting. All right. So handwriting. This is something that I think I could use a little bit of practice also. Um, First of all, I want to begin this class by saying that I don't think there's really such a thing as a bad handwriting. I don't know. Maybe it is something for discussion, but I really don't think that there is, unless you really just can't write it, can read it, right? So as long as it's legible, I think there's no such thing as bad handwriting. Others even say that sometimes you can tell a person's personality by its handwriting. I don't know what they're going to see with my handwriting. So I am really curious. It's so funny because just last week, I was talking to my husband about, I need someone to analyze my handwriting to tell them about my personality, but I'm a little scared. So, all right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Christy. Hi, Lakita. Hi, Tina. Hi, Grace. Hi, Courtney. Hi, James, Samantha, Clara, April, Michelle. Hello, Karen. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Danya. Hello, everybody. Hi, Dee. Hi, Mary. Hi, Rudman. Hi, Courtney. David. Who? That's a lot. Okay. Hi, Jen. Hello, Kelly. All right. Okay. So I am actually practicing just a couple of minutes before we started and opened the room. But in front of me are my favorite pens. I had just been so blessed to be working with this company, and they are one of the best, top notch. So since 1761, Faber-Castell has been around. So for that long, that should tell you something. In front of me are many different types of tips of the Pitt artist pens. Okay, and we'll talk about this. But okay, so let's rewind a little bit. There's no such thing as bad handwriting, and I did kind of put in a little bit of note because sometimes I have the tendency to blubber too much. The next one, to have a good handwriting. I don't really like using that term good. To have a better, let's say, just a better handwriting, I think it is very important to fall in love with the art of writing as well, right? Because that tells me a lot. You being here, that means you have the love for writing, whether it's, as simple as handwriting, print writing, cursive, or hand lettering. And we'll talk about that. Hand lettering and handwriting, I think there are two different things. When I do my hand lettering classes, I do explain to my students also that your handwriting doesn't mean that you're going to have, if you have a good handwriting, doesn't mean you're going to have a good hand lettering, or if you have a bad handwriting, doesn't mean you're going to have a bad hand lettering. It goes hand in hand, but the same thing, both of them requires your love for writing and also to practice the wanting, the desire to get better. And I think that goes for everything, not just for art, but goes, whatever it is in life that we want to do. With practice, it gets better, right? Next one is posture. I think this is important also. I try to write because I work from home. So there are moments where I'm like, you know what, I just want to slouch in laying down on my belly in the bed, or I am just kind of like on my table and just doing this. I think a little bit of that posture really does help a lot. You want to make sure that your elbows are comfortable on your desk, your hands, your wrist are comfortable on your table, on your desk like this, because if you're doing this in your notebook, I'm actually slouching so you guys can see me right now. You're almost your hand, your wrist is constricted. It's almost like it's not moving well, you'll get cramping at the end of the day, at the end of that writing session, you'll be like, I hate writing. So you want to make sure that you're in a comfortable position, you're sitting down comfortably, and you're holding your pens correctly. And is there such a thing as holding your pen correctly? There's different grips. I think we hold our pens, we all have different way of how we grip and hold our pens. I've seen others doing it this way. And sometimes I wonder, wow, that's really almost hard, but that's what they're comfortable in doing at. Some put it in between their pointer and middle finger. So, if that's what you're comfortable at, to me, I call this my tripod. See, I have two legs and I have this thumb that holds my pen here. And my movement is like this. So I have my wrist or my hand resting comfortably on the table, and my movement is within this three fingers here. So I'm not writing where I'm moving my whole arm. So this is where the control, right? So I call this tripod here. So, but if you have gotten used to holding your pen different than I am holding it now, please do so. All right. So the next one is, what is your normal handwriting? This is so funny because this is my handwriting also. So you can see here, right? It is not neat. It is not perfect, but I can read it. It is my handwriting. This is me being in a hurry, trying to think and writing down things. Okay. This is me when I am taking my time. That's like two different people wrote this page and this page. But again, and I think that's where handwriting and hand letter comes hand in hand, because when you say hand lettering, this is the art of drawing your letters, right? So when I slow down a bit and I will write the word deliverable, and I'm taking my time, I am going to write this much, much better than how I did that. I'll try to zoom in here so you guys can see much better. So time and practice is also very important. Now, this is not about hand lettering. So they say that you have to practice your drills. What are drills? There's nothing, super specific. I can say drills would be your vertical lines like that. You can practice your horizontal and try to go as straight as possible as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you take your time, try to be, as the best as you can. So you try to write diagonal lines. And what you're doing here is you're building a muscle memory. There's a communication from your brain to your hand. And the next time you do your letters, your letter A, instead of wonky, if you did and practice your drills, you're going to write your diagonal lines much smoother and much better. And there's a reason why I was practicing earlier, because there's that hand and mind coordination. So sometimes, no matter what, if I don't practice my hand lettering, let's say for quite some time, and I try to write something today, my lines would be a little wonky. My lines would be not better. Okay, so let's put it that way. Right. Right. So now let's talk about tools. We talked about the practice, we talked about the drills, we talked about the grip of your pen, how you hold it. Let's talk about the correct writing instrument. And this is where different pens would come in. Now I have this 8 set, and they're all black. The Pitt artist pens, especially the black one, comes in many different type of tips. Why am I talking about the different tips? Because we all have different style and different way of the way we do our handwriting. Some like to do print, some like to do cursive, some like their letters more broad, more wide, and there's many different ways. So in this set, there are 8 different tips, right? We have the finest, which is the 0.05. This is going to be a very, very fine tip. The next one would be the zero point 0.3, which I think is my favorite. This is my, aside from the brush and the Fudenosuke for the fine tip, I think my happy fine tip is a zero point 0.3. Okay. And then the next one would be a 0.5. All right. We have a 0.7. We have 1.5, which is your regular bullet nib, a bullet tip. The next one would be a brush. This is your soft, flexible brush where you can, this is what I use for my hand lettering. A brush tip, a brush pen is a very interesting tool because you can create a fine line and also a broad line, depends on the amount of pressure you use while using your brush pen. Next is a calligraphy or the letter C. This is that angled. See, you have like a flat tip. So in the worksheets that I have included, you're going to find different types of handwriting that you can practice, use for your practice. So you can get some tracing paper and go trace on top of that, or actually it is light, so you can also write on top of this one, print them again, and you can practice with the letters. I've also included different types of tips. So this is the 0.3, we have the 0.5, we have the 0.7. We have the next one, which is the Fudenosuke hard. This is the FH. Now, this is something like the brush pen, but I'm going to show you 2 different nibs. But the Fudenosuke hard, you can also get a thin and thick lines if you apply different pressure. Now, of course, the lighter pressure, the lightest pressure you can apply, the finest stroke you're going to get. The heavier the pressure, the thicker your stroke is. Of course, the Fudenosuke hard doesn't have a very large nib, so the thickness of your stroke will vary. You know, you cannot go as thick as you want. I'm going to try and use both. So very thin, but I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure. I'm not sure if you can see that little bit of thickness in there. All right. April, this is the one. Right? Now I'm going to use the brush so you can see the difference. And I'm going to apply a very light pressure going up. So you can go thin as well. But look how I'm going to angle my brush or my pen, right? So I'm going to go slanted, almost 45-degree angled. And I'm going to use the tip. I'll start with a tip, but I will apply some pressure to get a little bit of that thickness. So you get that. So the Fudenosuke hard will give you a variety of stroke as well, but it's not going to be as thick as your brush. So I would like to know in the comments, what is your favorite tip of pen to use? Are you more of a bullet? Are you more of a brush? Are you a fine line, you know, a really thin? So like what I said, my favorites would be the 0.3, the FH, and the brush. So these are my top 3 in that set. In the set of 8 pens, These are my go-to 0.3, the Fudenosuke Heart, and brush pen. All right, so we do have a lot of brush, bullet, fine. You guys, there's a lot of votes. I cannot. Fine line 0.3 for the Nosuke Heart. Yes, fine line brush or 0.5 bullet. I love the bullet too, especially when I'm doing like a clean mono line hand lettering. And let's pull out the bullet so we can see here. Yeah, I love that. Sometimes I'm in love with the variation of strokes, but you really cannot beat the mono also, where you get a consistent line no matter how much pressure you apply in there, especially if you feel like, you know what, I don't really have time to play around with the pressure while I'm writing. I really just have heavy pressure. Then you just want something that will give you a consistent stroke, which is a bullet tip or a fine line tip. 0.5 is good too. All right. So now for the practice of writing, we talked about instruments, we talked about the paper, we talked about our posture, we talked about how we hold our pens and all that. Now, the next one would be letter form and spacing. I think this one is important because I could use a little bit of practice when it comes to the letter form and spacing. Um, I don't know if it's a personality issue, but I want to be honest with you that when I'm writing, especially just writing, okay, not hand lettering, but just plain print writing. Okay, I have this tendency where I do different types of letter. I really do. So for example, I'm going to write the word apple. I would write it this way, right? I'm not going slow, I'm just writing. And within the sentence, if I write the word apple again, or even a different word, but with the same letters, you'll find me do this sometimes. Or sometimes, I don't know, maybe it shows my personality where I cannot, I'm a Libra. Let's not blame the zodiac, but I really do. I like to play around with my letters, but I want to go talk about that a little bit more later. But let's talk about the correct letter form and the spacing of each letter. They said to have a legible or a very neat handwriting. Again, it takes practice, right? But we want to talk about spacing. So let's write the word apple again. And I'm going to write it much better this time. And I'm going to write in print because I personally like to write in print when I'm just doing my handwriting and not hand lettering. Nicole said that she does random capitals too. Yes, ma'am. I'm guilty of that one. So, right, so if you want to write the word apple, notice how this one is spaced out, just neatly, more balanced, more equal. And this one is like, sometimes my brain works that way too. So it's not app and then Paul, so it's like two different words. So you want to make sure that you have your spacing fairly the same. It's not always going to be perfect, but as long as the word is legible. And you want to separate the words. I love apples. Now, I know that some people like to write in capitals. And I'm one of those people. So let's look at my notes for today and let us analyze my writing in here. As you can see, look at this. I use the brush pen, so it's much thicker, but this time we have letter form and spacing, right? Look at how I did my letter E's in here, and then how I did my letter E's in here. Two different things again. It's always like this. So I'm not kidding because I didn't do this for practice for you guys. This is how I really would write. So sometimes I really do play around, but is that wrong? That's my question. Is that wrong? I don't think so, because I honestly think the way we write it's an expression. And I honestly do think also that what it does is it adds character. And so now we're going to go to hand lettering, because this is where we are intentionally being mindful of how we would draw. I would say draw the letters, because we're not writing anymore, right? Writing is when you're free flow, not thinking, and you're just writing down. But when you start to slow down, start to be more mindful of how your letters look, I think that is called hand lettering already, because you're actually drawing your letters now. So if I want to add character to my I love apple in here, now we're talking about different sizes. So is that wrong? I don't think so. I think it just added a different character, a different personality to the letters, right? So Courtney said that she loves to write print when teaching, and she uses cursive in general. Yeah, I wish I would. I think my cursive is so not readable. It's I'm gonna try. Okay, I will try for you. I feel like I always get confused, especially with my connecting. So my connectors are like, it's questionable. But so I love Apple. All right. So Lakita said personal expression. Definitely. Yes, for sure. So Chrissy said if you wanted a constant exact letters, just use a printer. Amen. Exactly. It's going to look perfect. Just type it down and then print it. All right, then we're done. I'm not going to have any more job. I won't be able to teach anything in here. So now let's start adding character, because who lives a straight narrow? I was just telling Lindsay earlier, who lives a straight narrow path? Jesus. I don't live a straight narrow path. Okay, I try, but it's not perfect. So my handwriting is exactly the same. It is not perfect, and it's okay. So let's talk about how we can add characters. So we talked about spacing. Spacing is good. I think spacing really does is very important. This one is important because we want something legible, readable. People can understand it. Even with hand lettering, I teach this because you can have all the loops, all the pretty strokes, and have the thin and thick. But if the person cannot read it, then that's questionable. The reason why you're writing something, creating, is for them to understand also what you're writing, especially letters. I think art is subjective. Now if I want to draw a cat, and sometimes it may look like a dog, it's my expression, right? But I think with letters are something, we're writing something down. Oh, Siri's talking to me. But I think the reason why we're writing something is for someone to read it. So I think it's important that the words are legible. Okay. So now let's add character to the I love apple. And this is my technique. I love mixing my capitals with my small letters. So I would LOV, and we noticed in here, see, I used a letter small e, and sometimes you would see me use this E, and sometimes you would see me use kind of like the script E. But it just adds that different character. And mind you, now we're talking about changing and mixing and all that. Even when I'm writing a lettering, so L is in script, V, and then sometimes I would go with the letter V like that, and I'll start with the E. So it's just all different. Muhammad said that every time I use a cursive for writing, I always stress trying to make it perfect. Oh, I don't blame you. I really don't. I have that problem also. So let's try to write a full cursive. We want L, O, E. Now notice the spacing of my letters. My letter L is over here, and the O, V, and E are the small letters, and this one is a capital. So they're all consistent. Now we have this class coming up in July, which is called the Bounce Lettering. And I've written a book and an activity book that will be available at Michael's very soon with Faber-Castell. But this is pretty. I love pretty letterings, but I am a rebel. So that's why I wrote about the bounce lettering. Bounce lettering is not having a consistent height of your letters. So I would do L and E. Is one better than the other? I don't think so. I think it's just personal preference, right? Because one could say, I love that neat, perfect height, same height of letters. I love it. Or some would say, I love that second love because I think it's more expressive. I think it has a bit more personality. So it's just personal preference. One is not better than the other. So I would love to know which one is your favorite. Which one do you like better? I suppose the first love, which is neat, same height, or the second word love that has a bit more personality. And also, if you are watching this on replay on YouTube, next time, please do join us. It's more fun, right? April said, I love both. James said, first. Mary said, the second one. First, I think. All right. So when it comes to practicing your handwriting, now we talked about the drills. It is the willingness to get better because it is not going to happen overnight. I think it's just the same with hand lettering. It's just impossible to improve your handwriting overnight. But if you have the willingness to sit down and write a paragraph, let's say for a day, and have a notebook, when you start a notebook, I think it's important. And this is the same with sketchbook and your art book and journal like that. Make sure that you have write down your date. And this way you have something to compare, you have something to check your progress. Because I think if you don't have anything to check your progress, what's going to happen is you're going to keep comparing yourself or your handwriting or your artwork to other people. And I think that's what's going to throw you off. And also, it's going to be sometimes, a little disappointing because you feel like you're not showing any progress. But the reality is, you are doing some progress. You just don't have anything to compare it to. It's kind of like if you started a diet and you didn't take a progress photo, sometimes it's hard to see, am I doing something? Is something changing? So same with art, you need a photo, a progress to see that, development and your growth. I think it's super important. Um, Miriam said, the use of upper and lowercase alpha is used for passwords. It is. And it's getting harder and harder. Now they're asking for like symbols. And I'm like, look, I only have 3 kids. I can only remember so much. So it's like, that's not enough. Even numbers now are not enough. They want more symbols on the passwords. It's crazy. All right. Kelly said, congratulations on your new book. I'm looking forward to see it at Michael's. Thank you so very much. I'm super excited also to share that with all of you. All right. So practicing handwriting. Let's start with letters. The way I did my hand lettering or handwriting here, I should correct myself, my handwriting in the worksheets is that I've included different styles. I think this is important also to see, have a little bit of like practice to see what really fits your personality or what you just like. It doesn't have to match your personality. If it's just something that you're more drawn into. This one is a skinny lettering and it's all capital. And then this one, I use the brush. Is that true? No, I think I used the Fudinosuke, but I did a little bit of scripty look in here. But both are the FH. I use the FH here and both of this style. Right. So one pen, I'm using just one pen for the Nosuke hard, but you get 2 different looks. So one is slightly slanted and the other one is more all capital and all skinny, right? And then here I use the 1.5. This one is, I think I called it like kind of like scripty curly. There's a lot of loops in here. Let's look at the 1.5. So this one, you can use a tracing paper or then just go right on top of this one. This is a good practice also. This is like different types of fonts, but your own handwriting as well. But I honestly don't think that if I go to a bank, I go to a lawyer, or write down notes, I'm not sure that I would be able to write down as pretty as this. And this is just all honesty because I'm like, if I have my notebook, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write down all that. This is more hand lettering because again, when you slow down and you be more mindful of drawing your letters, that's called hand lettering already. But it's just nice to know and nice to have like different styles, the things that you can practice at home. Um, you just have different options. All right, though we have this worksheet. This is just one page. This is another page. All right. And then this one, I use the brush tip. And I think this is nice to see because, like with the Fudenosuke Hard, just because the brush pen is really a very fun tool because you can play around with the pressure that you're using when applying the brush pen, it means that you can create different looks of how you would write and draw your letters. So using one tool, the brush pen, I created this style. I even created a skinny one. How did I create the skinny? Very light pressure, right? And then this one is more scripty, more of a capital cursive letters. And that's it. So I would like to know which style you would like to practice today. Okay, this is going to be hard because I know you guys will have different votes again. The brush. Does size matter? Oh, what are we talking? Oh, does size matter when you're writing in general? Um, Writing in general, I don't think so. I mean, if you have a space, I mean, if you're using a large notebook, I think the only thing it's gonna matter is when how much will you write. Of course, the bigger the letters, I think you have more, you're exerting more effort, and also space. If you don't have a very large space for writing, I think that's when size matters. But in all honesty, in general, I don't think so. I mean, you can write as big as how you know, look at this, written each letter compared to the other size, right? So no, I don't think it matters. All right. Brush, because it is very hard for me. Brush, brush, brush. Oh, we have a lot of brush. Okay, then we'll do with a brush. Now, brush is my favorite. And I'm going to grab another clean paper in here. And we're going to start writing our alphabet because it's fun. And we'll start with the capitals first, or we'll just do A and all that. Okay. So we'll start with the skinny first because this is easy. So when we're doing the skinny style of lettering, I want you to focus on the tip of the brush pen. Okay. Because this is the finest. This is where we're going to get the thinnest stroke. And when we're using the tip of the brush, I'm going to hold my pen very differently. You can also use it like this, but still use the tip of the brush. Now, if I'm going to use a monoline, I think this is when I would hold it this way, like writing naturally. But when I'm using the brush pen, I will hold it differently. And I will show you an example. Let's just use this paper, right? So I'm going to write A. I'm going to write A. Now we'll use my brush pen. Now look at the way I am holding my pen. So I'm using it slanted. I'm not using it pointing upside down like this. It's more like 45-degree angle. With the mono line, I would hold it like a regular pen, just pointing up, slightly slanted maybe. So whichever you feel like is most comfortable with your wrist as well, because I think this one, it puts more strain. So I feel like this, I'm straining my hand even more, or maybe because I've just gotten so used to having this where my hand is slightly angled. All right, now let us go practice. I will be using, this is going to be just the regular brush of the Pitt Artist Pen. There is a SB that you're going to find, which is the soft brush. That one is a little bit more harder to control for me personally because I have heavy hand pressure. All right. So lines that are thin is much harder for me just because I write heavy naturally. Now, if you hold your pen, if you write lighter, then I feel like you're going to find that writing with a bit more pressure harder, so it's going to be the opposite. So with me, writing thin is a bit of a challenge. So that's when I kind of slow down a little bit and be more mindful of the amount of pressure I use when I am writing. Okay. All right. So this one is just a regular brush pen, letter B. Okay. Now let's start with the letter A. And I will try to write as many style as I personally write them. So you just can see how, what are your options and choose. I know I really like the way that she wrote that A down. So maybe that's something that you'd like to practice yourself. So let's start. I'm using a dotted grid in here. A dot grid is really nice because, as you can see, you don't see the lines, but still you have enough guide to really know if you're writing in a straight line like this. Because if I'm writing in a plain paper, sometimes my eyes play tricks on me and it's just not perfect. Okay, so let's start on top and I'm going to write letter A. I'm going to write it different ways. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I don't want you to get dizzy, but like that. So to get the thin and thick line, let's talk a little bit about that. Whenever you're writing away from your body, this is when, if you're not new to my class, and you've probably heard me say this about 1,000 times before, to create the thin stroke, this is where you're going to use the tip of your pen, and this is where you're going to apply a very light pressure. So every time you would write away towards your body, away from your body, every time you'd write away from your body, this is where you're going to apply light pressure, right? So every time I'd write away from me, this is going to be light pressure to create that thin stroke, okay? Now, every time I would write towards me, towards my body, this is where I'm going to apply some heavier pressure and also use the body of the brush. Look at the way I'm holding it. And can you hear that squeak a little bit? Because I'm applying pressure in there. So I would write towards me. This is away. This is thick. So use the tip of the brush pen, and to create the thick lines, you're going to apply heavy pressure. So the body, I'm going to put in here light, and this is heavy. All right. So I'm going to try and create a stroke so you can see the difference. Away from me using the tip of the pen. Now towards me, I'm going to apply pressure, and we created that thicker stroke. Let's try that again. Away, tip of the pen, light pressure, towards me, heavy, and using the body of the brush. One more time. Another one. Okay, now let's do the opposite. Now I'm writing towards me, so I'm going to apply pressure. And then I'll go light and use the tip of that brush. We're going to see how uncomfortable it is for me coming from the heavy to light. I think from light to heavy feels more natural than doing heavy first and going light. That is the challenge. So as you can see, even I have been doing this for a long time, 11 years to be exact. it's still challenging, you know, because it's just not natural. But the more you do it and the more you practice, you're not going to keep, you know, you don't have to repeat it to yourself every time. Light going up, heavy going down, light going up, heavy going down. But for a while, I was repeating that over and over. It's kind of like a mantra: light going up, heavy going down, light going up, heavy going down. All right, so let's try that again. Heavy, applying pressure, and then going light. All right, so heavy and then going light. So the third one is much better. See how wonky the lines are in here? And this one's just a bit more better because we're already building that muscle control. So down and then light going up. Nope. Lie heavy and then light going up. Now I want to show you, if you're not going to hold your pen angled, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to hold it straight like this. And I'm not going to have it where it's angled 45 degrees. I'll hold it like this and I'll show you, even if you apply pressure, this is what you're going to get. Right? So that's not thick. This is me going down again. And I'm applying pressure in here, but I'm not getting that thick stroke. So watch that. Maybe you're doing the same way. Maybe you're holding your pen differently. Okay. And now I'll do the correct way, where my pen is slightly angled, using the tip and the body all together, going down, and then light going up. See that? See how much thicker your strokes are when your pen is angled. Mary said that she hears my voice every time. I'm going to make that gentle. Thin going up, heavy going down. Maybe we should record that. All right, let's try that again. One more time, and then we're ready to go write our letters. I feel that's so much better. Here we go. I feel I got this. Move this. Now let's go write our ABC. Please pardon me if you hear me start singing my alphabet, because sometimes I'm like, what letter am I in now? A, B, C, D. Okay, this is how I would normally write my letter A. I think most of the time I would write it that way. Sometimes you'll see me use the small letter A, but bigger, just to make it look like a capital. But that's just really it. Now, if I'm going to make it scripty, I'm just adding loops. So like this, like that. Just adding some fanciness in there. And then my middle part is just slightly angled, right? Letter A, definitely like this. Now, if I want a more fun, more letter A, you would see me use this letter, do this style. So I would make it a capital also, right? Just like that. Now we'll play around with that horizontal middle part. This is where you're going to start adding character to your letters. You can put it all the way down, almost kind of like a triangle, right? Or you can put it all the way up, just like that. Or you can do it like more boxy or wide. You can go wider than that, just like that. Mohammed said that he is using a pencil to write. It's very hard. I can understand that. Now, if you want to use pencil to practice, I would suggest using maybe an 8B, because it's really dark and you can really see it. Sometimes using just a regular HB pencil has a very thin tip, so slightly harder. So maybe get a jumbo pencil. I love practicing with a jumbo pencil. All right, so you can see we've tried different ways. Now mine is all slanted, so I'm gonna go fix it where now I'm straight up. So again, you can go down or you can go all the way up. And then for the small letter A, I will just do that. If you want a little fancier, then you can add just a little connecting line in there. Or do this letter A also. more boxy, more engineer looking, architect, I should say. Right, so that's letter A. Now we'll do the letter B. Let's start with just letter B. Just letter B that way. Clara said, my marker is really thick. What tip are you using? How do you know when to lift your pen off the paper instead of doing a continuous stroke? Um, is this when you're writing? To me, when I'm doing hand lettering, it's very important to understand that it is one stroke after the other. It is not like a regular writing where you would write your letters. This is one problem that I have been seeing with a lot of people. They want to write the word love, right? And look, I've written the word love. Now that's a cursive writing where the cursive was invented so that we can write faster, right? So, but when you're doing hand lettering, it is not one letter after the other. It is actually one stroke after the other. So I'll try to write the word love again, but I'm just kind of like gliding. Now I lift off my pen. And I'll write the letter O because that's just one complete stroke for me. I'll start my V. That's one stroke again. And I'll do my line, my thin. I'll stop right there. So that's hand lettering. You're slow, you're mindful, you're drawing each strokes. Okay, so but when we're talking about handwriting, this is when you have the choice to also lift your pen. But I think when handwriting really is concerned, it's just one cursive line, then you finish one word. So when we start drawing our letters, that's going to be called hand lettering already. This is hand lettering because we're already being mindful of our letters. We're drawing it. So you can do a really skinny, I think B is a fun letter to kind of play around because you can really do with the bellies. You can do a small belly in there and really big belly at the bottom. Or you can do the opposite where you have small belly there and a larger belly on top. I love B's. I think I love playing around with this letter so much. You can also do just one straight line and a very small, tiny like that. You can do slanted, this. Then when you want it like a print still, but more fancy, then kind of like what we did with the letter A, we just add a little bit connecting, or end strokes like that. This. Maybe without too much of that stroke, but still like this. I've seen people go down, up, up. So many different ways. But I think regularly I would just write it like this. Yeah. All right, letter C. Clara said, I don't have the set. Ordering the materials you have for the next class. Please do remind me what's the next class. I kind of don't remember. Oh, we have our fun summer doodles. Oh, that's going to be fun. Yes. Letter C. I don't think I do a whole lot with the letter C, to be honest. I think it's very plain and simple. So it's either I just go really skinny, or you kind of just like a serif style where you have a little bit of end strokes like this. Even when it's the cursive, yeah, I don't think I do much with letter C. That's kind of sad. Or you can just do a very, wide. Let's do that with the letter B also. It's just really big. Yeah, C is a bit boring. Okay, letter D. Same with the letter D. I mean, I guess you can just go a really wide letter D or a skinny, skinny one. Or if you want to do like that. Did you see how I did that? So one stroke, we're going to make a loop like this, go up, and then bring it down. James, the next class would be same day, next week, Wednesday, and same time as well. Now this is cursive already. Now with the cursive D, there's a lot that you can do here. You can add a little bit of connecting in there, like that. I feel like with trying out different letters, I think we need like a 3-hour class because there's just a lot. There's a lot. A, B, C, D, E, E, there, letter E. Now, again, letter E is a letter that I always change. You know, I didn't know this until I started doing hand lettering. I started noticing that, wow, I don't do my letters consistently. I don't know what that I don't know what that means, but I don't. Now you can do a wide E. You can do the cursive E, which is I often do and mix up my letters as well. E. Can also do a capital E, a small E, but just big to make it look like capital. You can also do a wide like this, like that, even with a small one, like this. Or you can add those loops, but I think those are more cursive, more script, and we'll focus with the print right now. C, D, E, with the letter F. Like that. You can do a bit slanted. And I think the more you practice with your letters, you're really going to find your own character. It's almost like your own personality will show eventually. Keep writing and just keep playing around. And I think eventually you'll find that look that you want. You know what? I really like that imperfect look where my letters are not equal in height. You know, I play around with the size of each letter. Maybe you like that, like myself. I personally love that. Now this one, letter F2, huh? Not so much. I guess you can just kind of play around with maybe it's slanted, slightly slanted, more skinny, how long your horizontal lines are going to be. That's all there is. Cursive F. Let's do the cursive F. Now, I want to be honest with you. I don't normally would use this cursive F. I mean, very seldom. This is going to be how I would write my letter F personally, even with hand lettering. But, you know, the cursive would be kind of like a letter L too. You have that on the side. So F, I would do the letter G. Now letter G, you can play around with this one a little bit. You can go wide like this, right? Or just go skinny. Or maybe you have that horizontal sticking out a lot, or maybe it just goes in like this. Maybe go G. Or maybe go really small like that also. But again, when that worksheet that I have provided, there's many different type of fonts and lettering in there that you can practice and play around with it. Maybe you have like this where it's connecting to the letter, or you go really higher. Huh, I didn't realize you can play around with the letter G a lot. Like this. It's fun. Letter H. This one seems like it's fun to do it like a wide style. I think I provided like a wide style also. Then you can go as skinny as you want. You can go play around with that middle part. You can go low, high, straight in the middle. You can go slanted. You can go, the crossbar would go across that two diagonal lines with the letter H. This one you can just play around, see if you want that, or you can go as high as you want. But see, this is where that make sure that it's still legible, because you can play around and add character to your letters, but you want to make sure that, people can understand that that's a letter H and not a letter N, because, um, I write my letter N's this way also. So see how very similar the N and the H can be if you're not careful. Okay, so letter H, and then play around like this. I like the look of that, but I have a feeling that it can definitely look like a letter N. Letter I. No, I. I don't think I play around with letter I too much. I guess just how wide the crossbars are going to be, or just slanted. Go high. Sometimes I mix and add like a script letter I in my letters, even when I'm writing it in print. I think it's just fun. Or you can do like a little scripty, so your is more slanted like this instead of just a regular I. But again, I think that's more cursive. You know, I, now letter J. Slant. Just go white. Add that. And go this, but again, more cursive. I know it's really easy to mix that N and H if we don't practice with our the height of the letters. I think when we're teaching younger kids, I think it's important to not add too much character to the letters. I think we have to stick to how, everybody sees a letter, just so they can really practice the correct way, how each letter is drawn and composed, right? So but now that we're, us older people, and if we feel like, what, I want to improve my handwriting, I want to add more personality to it, that is when I think the perfect time to kind of like play around, practice, and add a little bit more personality and spark to the way you write your letters. JHIJKK. You can do K like this one. I think K you can play around too, because look, you can kind of like go up in here and do it like that. You can go like this and have more roundiness to it, right? But again, I think once you've picked a style, for example, if you want all the wide, I think you should practice with all the wide letters first. Um, because unless you're kind of like writing or drawing something really fun, it's going to be hard to read sometimes when you're mixing different styles all at once. It might get confusing for the people that will read it, but if it's just for your eyes only, I say go for it, however you would like it. But always put that into, in consideration that whoever is going to write it, make sure that it's going to be readable. It's easy to read. Slanted, you can go down like that, I suppose. Can add a little bit more loop. Now this is the script like that. You're very, very welcome, Tina. Now letter L. I know we're out of time, but again, if you print the letter sheet, the practice sheet that I have provided, there's going to be a lot of letters to practice in there. I always just really want to encourage you to not be afraid to do what is not ordinary, because ordinary is great. I mean, it's fun, it's stable. It's not fun, but ordinary is stable, it's consistent. Consistency is great in our lifetime. But I feel like when it comes to art, I really highly um want to encourage you to play around, take risk, don't be afraid to try something new. If you have been writing your letters this way all your life, maybe, and if you feel like you're looking for an improvement, maybe it's now time to start um, trying something else, bring in something else in the picture, into the mix. And maybe that's something that, maybe that's you, it's more you. And maybe it's real that our handwriting shows our personality more. But I know that we don't have a whole lot of time during these classes, but I really do appreciate you hanging out with us today. Again, my name is Leigh Ralston. If there's anything, any question that I have missed today, you can find me on social media at Mommy Leigh. Would love to, build that connection in the community, join my community on social media. I'm always here for you. As long as your question has nothing to do with math, we're good with that. And also with Michael's to stay updated with all the classes coming up, make sure to, of course, visit the website. It's going to be under classes and events. Also follow us on social media at Michael's Stores, and also learn with Michael's. There's now a separate account on Instagram that shows all the schedules, so to keep you updated in there. Of course, Faber-Castell, please do follow us at Faber-Castell USA. We appreciate all of you for joining. Thank you so much. Until next Wednesday, I do hope you'll join again. Same time, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. God bless you all. My name is Leigh Ralston. I'll see you again. Stay creative and stay happy, everybody. Bye bye.